Have you ever felt a peculiar tension? Not a sense of being ahead of the pack or lagging behind it, but simply moving to a different rhythm that no one else seems to hear. It's a subtle, ongoing dissonance, a feeling of being slightly out of sync with the world around you, like a note struck in the wrong key during a familiar song, or a shadow cast by a light that hasn't quite arrived. This feeling clashes directly with how society expects us to operate. We live in a culture that demands absolute truths and perfectly solved problems. Every question requires a neat, tidy resolution. We are trained from an early age to fear paradoxes. The unknown isn't treated as a landscape to explore, but as an error to be neutralized by finding a fixed, permanent answer. So when you constantly see the gaps between a problem and its execution, and you lack a framework to process those unknowns, the result isn't clarity. You are left hovering in a space between order and chaos, feeling adrift and profoundly isolated. But this cultural obsession with certainty is an illusion. When you look closely at the actual mechanics of reality, you find that neither high-level mathematics nor deep philosophy supports the idea of absolute, unchanging truth. We build rigid mental models to make sense of things, but when those rigid structures inevitably crash into the messy, natural paradoxes of the universe, our understanding breaks down. To cure this dissonance, we have to reverse our approach entirely. We must stop treating uncertainty as a flaw that needs to be fixed. Instead, we have to accept it as the foundational law of the universe. Which leads us to a crucial pivot. What if uncertainty is actually the main feature of human understanding, rather than a bug? To explore this, we lean on an ancient pillar of thought. The Socratic paradox suggests the only true knowledge is knowing we know nothing. Now, jump thousands of years forward to modern physics. Werner Heisenberg's uncertainty principle proves mathematically that at a quantum level, absolute precision is literally impossible. When Socratic humility meets quantum mechanics, the focus shifts from finding a final answer to managing a probability. Both frameworks treat the boundary of our knowledge not as a failure, but as a fixed property of reality. Using these 2 points as a base creates a practical engine for navigation. If absolute truth is unreachable, then uncertainty becomes the fuel for constant observation and adjustment, rather than an obstacle to be cleared. The writer Daniel Gray gave a formal name to this way of seeing the world: interconceptualism. Instead of artificially flattening reality to force a single answer, interconceptualism expands into a dynamic, multidimensional web. It relies heavily on logic and empirical evidence, but operates on provisional truth. When new evidence arrives, the framework instantly adapts to incorporate it. This structure reconciles the cold output of a sensor with the subjective experience of the person reading it, allowing both to exist at once. Ultimately, interconceptualism allows us to honor multiple, completely conflicting perspectives of reality without ever forcing them to perfectly or statically align. Let's return to that initial tension, that isolating feeling of being out of time. What if the goal of life isn't to put all the pieces together into a final solved puzzle? The core realization of this framework is simple. Certainty is static. It's dead. Uncertainty is alive, and it is always moving. Think about those gaps and paradoxes we are taught to fear. Those empty spaces between understanding and explanation aren't voids. They are areas of raw, pure potential. That sensation of being out of sync marks the moment you detach from the fiction of a static, solved world. So stop hunting for fixed answers. Embrace the emergent, dynamic dance of reality, and allow yourself to find meaning in the chase itself.